Welcome back, dear viewers, and to know more details about the ongoing escalations in Gaza and also in Lebanon, I'm delighted to have over the phone Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of Political Science. Good afternoon, Dr. Hassan.
Good afternoon.
First of all, regarding the ICC's recent arrest warrants that was issued against Benjamin Netanyahu and the Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, we have witnessed a rise of strikes on Gaza and also in Lebanon. Do you think this comes in response of these arrest warrants?
Actually, you know, the warrant regarding arrest of both war criminals as described by the ICC.
Yes.
I think most of the world, fair-minded people in the world are supporting that, including the people who used to support Israel, like Britain, Italy, all the European Union, or all the countries, 26 or 27 countries. And I think that escalation this morning is taking place, and it shows one thing, one very important thing when it comes to negotiating maxims. You cannot cancel out the other party, whatever you name it, or whatever you make character assassination. There are civilians being killed in Gaza and in Lebanon. And today we have seen, as we have seen in previous days, retaliation. And you will never, in negotiation, cancel out anyone. Americans and Vietnamese, yes, they negotiated. Whoever you call them, negotiated together despite their names. So because now there is brutal occupation, and this is the core of the problem. Brutal occupation, the Palestinian state should be established. The Lebanese people should be free from any aggression on their sovereignty. Look, they have already targeted everyone. They targeted civilians. They targeted even the Lebanese army. The Lebanese army was supposed to guard the borders and carry out the UN resolution 1701, etc. But you're targeting all of that. What else do you expect? Retaliation will bring retaliation, and it will be a never-ending process. And I really have a word for the United States. We used to know that the United States is a strategic partner and a superpower. There was a consensus among the world that the war should be stopped, and 3 days ago, one of the resolutions that was vetoed, it was vetoed by only America. How come America is doing that? How come this is the loss of friends, loss of everything, loss of humanity? When 14 people in the Security Council agreed to stop the war, the United States vetoed it. I don't know how we are making negotiation. We expected Saturday negotiation, win-win negotiation, fair-minded negotiation, not biased negotiation, because this will never end, and it will never be in the sake of Israel or America or any person who aggresses and keeps the aggression going on like that.
Yes, Dr. Hassan, taking from your words, why, in your point of view, is Israel ignoring all the resolutions issued by all the international organizations, and also ignoring all the efforts exerted in negotiations? And of course, Egypt is taking a leading role in this context. How do you comment on that?
I think that because of the zero mentality of the poor people who were judged by the entire world now as war criminals. War criminals do that. This is very unhonored war. When you hit civilians all the time under the guise of revenging whoever, and you have already revenged how many? 50,000 almost Palestinians were killed. What a massacre are they? This is crazy. This is zero-sum mentality that would keep them doing that. But again, there should be a new administration, and Trump is coming. And I hope that the United States would listen to the word of wisdom. The word of wisdom is to put a stop on this crazy war.
And even with the new leadership of Donald Trump, do you think there would be any changes? Because Dr. Hassan, you mentioned that there should be a new administration. And even in Israel, there is a change in the Minister of Defense. But still no changes has taken place.
It will be left, as once more, when we were having witnessed the negotiation process, Carter said he's an honest broker. George Bush, he said momentum giving party, but Condoleezza Rice said leave the area to its own forces. And if you leave the area to its own forces, which is currently deployed now,
yes.
I don't think that this will be for the sake of anyone. And the will of the people who would like to reconsider the rights, who would like to take the rights back, it will be escalation, not de-escalation. And it is not for the interest of anyone. No, half of the Israeli people now in the shelters, nobody like to see this zero-sum mentality and retaliation here and there going for no end. No, there should be an end, but if the Americans or if the international community did not do that, people really would like to get revenge for what is being afflicted on them. When you are targeting hospitals, mosques, civilian areas, what else do you expect? You expect retaliation from whoever.
Yes, Dr. Hassan, also we're still talking about the ongoing escalations in the Middle East, but moving to Lebanon, it is clear that Israel is insisting on this approach of using excessive power. How do you comment on that? Because this excessive power is even, it resulted in the opposition of the public opinion. Now the public opinion is with Palestine, not with Israel. So why is Israel using this policy while it is not serving their narrative and it is not supporting the public opinion to be with them?
I have one very short answer for this. Mm-hmm. If you are unwise and if you are doing self-defeating strategy, this is exactly the recipe Israelis are portraying for themselves.
And in your opinion, how can the world confront such a policy?
I think that the international community has to do far more than that. And Israel should be isolated because of these crazy wars, unjustified wars, unhonorable wars against civilians and against humanity. And when you say, I am extending the ground forces, taking more land, more than the occupied lands, which Israel should leave, I don't think this is really self-defeating, because missiles could reach everywhere now.
Yes.
So what is the use of doing that unless you are trying to be a rude country, you'd like to be outlawed, you'd like to don't care about the entire world.
Yes, of course, taking from your words, there is no care really for the entire world and there is no respect for all of the international organizations. But talking more about the policy of imposing famine on Gaza, how do you comment on this?
Actually, as I've said, this is unwise, this is very inhuman, and there is a retaliation for that one day to somehow, because if you are trying to push that people to leave their countries, I think we are escalating, and escalation is not the interest of anyone. But if it is imposed, people will go for it.
Yes, Dr. Hassan. Also talking more about the psychological war. If we read all these sentences and the statements aired and delivered in media by Israeli officials, we can find very contradicting statements to the actions they are committing. For example, they said that the Israeli army is one of the most ethical armed forces in the whole world, while their actions is totally the opposite. So how do you think this psychological war is serving the Israeli narrative, and how can the world confront such a psychological war and such media statements in particular?
Actually, I remember this very important slogan: the truth is never a lie. Everything is documented in this world. And I see when the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court, both of them are considered as respectable, unbiased entities, witnesses of what is being just and what is being against justice. I think that everything is clear, and the condemnation that took place by these two respectable international organizations and fair-minded and unbiased, I think this would tell the entire world that the media fake, a deep fake deployed by Israel or any other media like the American media sometimes or some circles in it. I think it became very obvious, and everything is clear for the entire world now.
Yes, Dr. Hassan, and taking from your words, you mentioned a very important point. Thank you for raising this point, is the documentation of everything. And if we are following this case, the ongoing escalations in the Middle East, we can find that the public opinion, not only in Egypt and the Arab region, but in the whole world, even youth, everyone who is just following this war, they are documenting everything on social media. The platforms that are even deleting these videos and these documentation online. How do you comment on this, and how do you think this public documentation is serving the process of reaching a ceasefire in Gaza and in Lebanon?
I think the ceasefire will have some equations, and one of them is the international pressure of force, and documentation of every minute detail is being there. So I think all of this will combine together, and as we have seen this morning, that there are retaliation and there is an equation. If you target Beirut, we target Tel Aviv. So I think that escalation is going, and you can't stop that, but putting an end to this stupid and crazy war that will achieve nothing, because peace will never be achieved like that, or security will never be achieved like that. This kind of mentality should be changed, and the international community, especially the United States of America, should play a totally different role to put an end to this tragedy, to this unfair war, to this honorable war.
Dr. Hassan Wagih, the professor of political science, thank you so much for being with me on the phone. And yes, of course, this is an unfair war. This is an inhumane war against civilians, against children and women, with no achieved goals, with no goals from the very beginning to be. Me, Dr. Hassan Wagih, the professor of political science. Now, dear viewers, we're going to have a short break and get back to you to look on the updates taking place in the Middle East.